So, hello everyone. We have a few minutes left. People come in. So, if you could write shortly in the comments if everything works fine, you can see me fine and you can hear me. So, it is a big delay with the time, but I hope it works. It looks good. Hi, Brian. So, okay, it works. Perfect. So we wait a few minutes. We have now it's 10. Here it's 10. I don't know where you are from. Maybe you can, I can see you and hear you just fine. Perfect. Maybe you can write shortly where you're from. I think from America, a lot of people. We have it here 10 p.m. in Austria. Hi, Ivan. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I hope you like it. I hope it works everything fine. It's the first time, so, but it will be fine. Ivan from Croatia, yeah, I know. Nice. Indiana, United States. Great. Brian from Seattle. Okay. So I think we will wait a few seconds. Maybe there come more people. I said not so long ago, a few weeks ago, so there are not so much people. And it's also a little bit difficult with the time difference and Saturday. So let us see if come a few people more. Yeah. No, let us start. I think, yeah, let us start. People can then start when they come in. So, hello everyone. Today we go through a remote view session. I will show you how it looks like, a little bit shorter version of the original protocol. And we will look what's inside of this envelope. The main part is that you don't want to know what is inside of this envelope as direct what it is inside. We as remote viewer are data collector. That means we collect, we ask, query intuitive information, and these are small pieces. And at the end we have a bigger picture, but we didn't want to know, let us say there's a banana, it's not a banana inside, that it's a banana. That's not. So that's what we go now. We go through, I guide you through everything. At the beginning I explain a little bit, and then we open it and you can see how good your data is and how well your remote viewing was. So at the beginning it's really important to make sure that the, wait, I will deactivate the chat now so we are not disturbed from the chat. So it's now deactivated. I will activate it later, so you can refresh now the page, and I'll wait a second and then we continue. Okay, so first it is important that you have a quiet environment, so everything is quiet, door is closed, windows are closed. Maybe you put the cat and the dog out if you have in the room. So you are really focused, because remote viewing is also like an attention management. That means where our attention is, from there we get the information. And we want information from the matrix that represents the white paper and not from the environment, the distractions. So I have to drink a little bit because I'm dry mouth. I'm a little bit nervous for the first time. So that's the main thing. You need 10 pieces of paper at hand and a pen, a normal pen to write. It has not to be this pen. We use a ballpoint pen, a black ballpoint pen. Black because it's a neutral color, but for the webinar now it's not important. It's just a normal, well-writing pen. So we have basically 3 rules in remote viewing. The first rule is to write everything in a row. I start now. You don't start to write now. I explain now a little bit. So I start with page 1, stage 1, Manuel Ernst. Today we have 27th April 2019 and it's 22:05 here in Austria. So that's the main structure. The first rule is we write everything in a row. So the first row, next information, next row, next information, next row. This is mainly because you can later, it's a structure where when we go through the whole protocol, at the end you can see where was which information. So you can really see, okay, there I drift off, or there comes nice information, so you can really nice follow it and has a clear structure. Later in the protocol I will say to you, okay, next row in the middle, next row on the right margin or on the left side. So I explain everything. So that's the first thing, the first rule, to write everything in a row. The second major rule is that we speak everything out loud. That's a little bit strange at the beginning, but it's really important because it keeps our brain busy. When we ask the matrix, we speak it out loud. In this moment, our brain cannot think, and therefore we create a little gap where the intuitive information comes through, the answer. We ask the matrix, and through speaking out loud, the information can come through, and not from our personality, the information. That's really important. You will see it helps a lot. You get much better information when you speak everything out loud. And the third big rule is that we write everything down. Not we write everything down. That's also to speak everything out loud and write everything out loud down. But to the body behavior, the right body behavior. That means when we ask in the remote view, we all the time look at the blank white paper and we have open eyes. We never have closed eyes. So we probe the paper, we put the pen there, and we ask in the arrow, the white arrow around, we ask then a question out to the paper, to the matrix. For example, what color is there? What color? So this is like an intention to ask it out. So you don't want to close the eyes and ask yourself, what color is there? Then you just ask yourself, or to look around, what color could it be? That's not what we want. We want to ask the matrix, and therefore it's important to ask out with open eyes and speak it out loud, and also write it everything down, and also speak it out while you write everything down. When we start now in the protocol, I keep the speed a little bit up. That's also helpful to not start to think about what's happening. So maybe it's a little bit overwhelming, but that's no problem. If you cannot follow at one point, just skip the point and continue with the next part. So yeah, so let us start it. So you can write down the page. So you write /1/ and speak it out for the first page. Next row in the middle, S1 for stage 1. And the next row on the right margin, your name, below the date, and below the time. And every time speak out what you write. Okay. So in the next row in the middle, we write our personal inclemencies. That's also an important part, to write out how do I feel now. If I have something that bothers me, or to check if I'm right to do the session. So for me it's, I'm now nervous and it's hot here. And otherwise I'm okay. So you can write now down what you have now, if it's everything fine or something else. That's important to write out to clear the system. So after we write it out, we put the pen down and we say we disconnect from our personal inclemencies. And therefore we can go then neutral into the session. But before we put the pen down, there comes a next part to it, and that's when you think you know what it is today, for example. What is the target? If you think you know, okay, it's a banana maybe, then you write down banana, because it is, we have to sort this out. These pictures, what you have in your mind, we have to put away. And at the beginning, it's quite often that you have an impression, maybe it's this today, or from the last targets you have something in your mind. And to put this out, write it down, put the pen down and say, okay, I disconnect myself. It's not a banana, definitely not. And so you are free to continue. So, okay, I will, now we start with the session. This is like the header of the session. And now we start, and I will say, don't start. I will explain now the first stage. I will say to you the number, you write it down. And after you write it down, you after the last digit, you make a spontaneous ideogram. It's a spontaneous scribble. It's like a reflexive hand movement. I show this to you now with a normal number. It's not this number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. Spontaneous hand movement. That's what we call the ideogram. Because at the beginning, the information comes, we cannot grab it. And this is the first impression from the site, from the target, and there is coded information there. And we divide it then, and we go through. But I will show you then later. So now we will make the first ideogram. It's important to speak everything out loud, all the numbers, and then immediately make an ideogram. Not close the eyes while you make it, with open eyes all the time on the paper, and make a spontaneous ideogram. So I will say to you now the number, and you start with the ideogram after. So we start with 6, 5, 8, 4, 5, 5, below 2, 4, 6, 1, 9, 7, spontaneous ideogram. If you have not done yet an ideogram, make now a quick one. So I make also one. So now you write at the right third a colon, and now you trace in the air the line, and approximately at the half, why it's intuitively it ends the line, you make it a divider. So these are two sections. We work with two sections. And after you have done this, you again with the pen slightly over the paper, you trace and sense the line. And while we make this, you ask at the same time contour shape at the side. So you follow it and ask contour shape at the side, contour shape at the side, and then write the impression there. The impression has nothing to do with how the line looks like. It's really what comes into your mind. So maybe it's peaked up, it's flat, it's cornerish, something like this. The next part is you take the pen and you probe the line at some point, put the pen in and ask, Is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And write it down below. Then you write below B colon, again with the pen on the line at some point, and ask, is it natural or artificial? And write it down. Now we go to the next session, A colon, again with the pen in the air, trace and sense the line, contour shape at the side, and the impression, write it down. Pen tip again into the line at some point. Is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And impression, write it down. Below B colon, again pen tip onto the line. Is it natural or artificial? And write it down. So that was the first ideogram, stage 1. If you have now a picture in your mind, you know you got a picture, a clear picture, or you think you know what it is, then you write on the right margin AOL/B for AOL break and write down. I take the keyboard. I have now in front of me a keyboard. And then put the pen away and say, keyboard is it not, because AOL is always wrong. With this way we sort it out, because we have we want just the clear information. We ask for a simple information and we get a sense about it, a slightly feeling, a spontaneous information, a word or something. And then we write this down. If there is a picture, a strong picture, a conclusion about, that stops the system. When we continue with this in mind, it will all affect it. It will not. We cannot ask neutrally. So we have to write this every time down. So that was our first page. We make this again. So you take the paper, turn it around, put it on the side. Next page. You write on the right top /2/ for page 2, S1 for stage 1 again, and again I will say you the target reference number and you write it out and speak it also out loud while you write it down. So, and then after immediately an ideogram. So we start with 658, 455, 246, 197. Spontaneous ideogram. I make also one. So again, we go again through the process. A colon. Again, we follow the line, and at the half around, we make a divider. And again, we ask contour shape at the side, and the information we write down. Then with the pen tip into the line, is it natural, is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And write the information down. Below B colon, is it natural or artificial? And we write the information down. Again down A colon for the next part. Trace and sense the line in the air and ask contour shape at the side. First impression, write it down. Again with the pen tip into the line. Is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And we write it down. Below B colon, pen tip again into the line. Is it natural or artificial? And we write it down. So we have the second page, the second ideogram, and now we make it a third time. We make all the time stage 1 3 times to get closer contact. This is not about the information. You maybe see now what's happening. I mean, here I have natural, here I have artificial. It can everything be. We now just view about the whole site. There can be natural, artificial stuff, can be flat stuff, peaked stuff. It's not the point. This information is not so important. It's really just to get target contact, to knock at the door of the matrix, so we can get later more detailed information. So, next page, right on the top, /3/ for page 3, S1 for stage 1, speak everything out loud. And now again, I will say to you the number, and then again you make a spontaneous ideogram. So 658 455 246 197, spontaneous ideogram. So again, on the right margin, write a colon, trace the line, and always through on the halfway around, you make a divider. And we trace the line again and ask contour shape at the side, and first impression, write it down. Again, pen tip into the line. Is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And write it down. Below B colon, pen tip again into the paper, on the line. Is it natural or artificial? And write it down. Again, A colon, the next part. Trace and sense the line in the air. Contour shape at the side. And the impression we write down. Pen tip again onto the line. Is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And we write it down. Below B colon, again pen tip onto the paper. Is it natural or artificial? And we write it down. If you have again an AOL, a picture in your mind, an AOL means analytic overlay. It means every analytic, a picture in your mind, a conclusion, you think you know what's about. This we all the time write down, AOL/B, and what you think, what it is, or what picture you have in mind. So we have the first 3 pages, stage 1, we have done. Now we go to stage 2. Take the next paper right on the top, /4/, and the next row in the middle, S Roman 2 for stage 2. And now I will ask you questions and you will immediately answer them. So it's like I ask not you what the color, for example, is. I ask the matrix for you. So I ask and you immediately answer spontaneously what comes into your mind. You can also ask then after again for yourself the question again. But that's the primary. You write it all down on the left margin, all the information. So I ask you and you write it down and speak it also out loud. That's also important. So first, what is the color at the side? And write it down. What other colors are at the side? And write it down. How is the surface at the side? Write it down. Is there another surface at the side? And write it down. How is the smell at the side? And write it down. What is the taste at the side? And write it down. What is the temperature at the side? And write it down. What sounds are at the side? And write it down. What dimensions are at the side? Write it down. Other dimension, is it more high or more low? Write it down. Is it more wide or more narrow? Write it down. Is it more round or more cornerish? Write it down. What movements are at the side? And write it down. And the last, is it inside or outside? And write it spontaneously down. So, and to end the stage 2, we write in the next row, in the middle, AI colon. And here I will also ask you again a few questions and you answer them spontaneously. So, how do I feel at the site? And write it down. What feelings does the site trigger in me? And write it down. What emotions does the site trigger in me? And we write it down. So that's the stage 2. If you have again a picture in your mind about what it could be or something else, then you write again down AOL/B on the right margin and write it down. And put it away. We cannot need this. We want to be neutral. We want just these small pieces. We didn't want to make conclusions. We didn't build it up a picture. We every time ask completely neutral a point and forget completely what was before. It's every time a completely neutral question, and the impression that comes through, we write down. So AI, the last part, this is the personal impressions. We don't need this for the information for the end, but this is really important to open the aperture, to open more the door to the matrix so we get better information. And at the end of stage 2, we also put the pen away because we want to disconnect for our personal impressions. So we didn't want that our continuation of the session is colored of our impressions, but we need them to open the aperture. So that's why we make this and why we put then at the end the pen down. So now you take again the paper, turn it around, put it on the side. The next page, /5/S Roman 3 for stage 3, and speak it everything out loud. And now don't start, I explain you shortly. We make now a spontaneous sketch. That means I ask you to sketch spontaneously, and you sketch just, okay, here is something here, or it's this, or this, anything. Just it is really a quick spontaneous sketch, 1 second, not something complex. It's not a detailed sketch. Just that we know, okay, here is something, or maybe a second stuff, here is something, and that's it. So now you can do it. So you have written it now, and now make a quick spontaneous sketch. So I make now here a circle. Now we take the last paper, what the stage 2, what we put on the side. We take it, put it on the side of this paper, and we assign the information. I will also shortly explain to you now. So for example, let us say the color. The first color is, let us say it's blue. I say, where here it's blue, and I spontaneously assign it to the sketch. I just, where my hand moves, spontaneously take the information, ask where here is this, and write it down. So I will now say to you, and you follow it. So, where is your first color? And assign it. Second color, where here is the second color? Where is the first surface? And assign it. Where is the second surface? And assign it. Where is the smell? Assign it. Where is the taste? Spontaneously write it there. Where is the temperature? Where is the sound? Where is the first dimensional? The dimension you can also draw in, or you write it there as word. Where is the next dimension? Where is the next dimension? If you have other dimensions, just draw it in or write it there. Where is the movement, if there is a movement? And inside, outside, where here it's inside or outside, what you get, and assign it there. So now we make the stage 3, we make a spontaneous sketch, we assign the data, and now we have the first thing what we draw, if you have more things, or the main thing in the middle, is now our target X. We write there in the middle, in brackets, X as target X. So everything what we have done till now was about the whole site. So there can be different informations about the whole site. But now we make the sketch and now we can focus, this is the target X. And when we continue the process now, it is all about the target X. So if again you have here an AOL, you get the picture, it's round and you say, it looks like a ball or something, and write down AOL/B and write down, because it's not a ball, not everything that's round is a ball or that has this a corner like this. The personality likes to make conclusions and want to help, but we didn't need this help. It cannot help us. So we have to be neutral and put everything down, all the pictures, and continue. So next page, /6/ for page 6, below in the middle, S1 brackets X for stage 1 of target X. And now I will say to you a sentence, and you write this sentence down, and after the last word you make a spontaneous ideogram. I will say to you then, make a spontaneous ideogram. So you put the pen down and you start to write. I will say you now the sentence. From the front into the direction of target X, something should be perceptible, and then spontaneous ideogram. So I make again also an ideogram. Now we again make the stage 1, but this time it's about the target X, the main aspect. So we write on the right side a colon, trace the line and again divide it, and trace the line, and we ask what contour shape of target X, contour shape of target X, at the same moment. And the first impression we write down. Then again, is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And we write it down. Below B colon, is it natural or artificial? And we write it down. Then the next part, A colon, and with the pen in the air we trace and sense the line. Contour shape of target X, and first impression, write it down. Pen tip into the line. Is it solid, liquid or gaseous? And we write it down. Below B colon, pen tip into the line. Is it natural or artificial? And first impression, we write it down. If you now have again an AOL, a picture in your mind, AOL/B, and write down what it is, put the pen away. It's definitely not this picture from our mind. So, okay, now we go next page, page 7, /7/ stage 2 of target X, S2 brackets X, and speak everything out loud. And now we make again the stage 2. I ask you and you spontaneously answer what comes into your mind, the first impression. So, what color has target X? And write it down. Is there another color at the target X? And write it down. How is the surface at target X? And write it down. Is there another surface at target X? And write it down. How is the smell of target X? And write it down. How is the taste of target X? How does it taste? Write it down. How is the temperature at target X? And write it down. Are there sounds at target X? And write it down. How is the dimension at target X? Write it down. Is it more high or more low? Write it down. Is it more roundish or more cornerish? Write it down. Is it wide or narrow? Spontaneous impression, write it down. Is there a movement at target X? And write it down. Is it inside or outside? And write it down. So, below in the middle, the next row, again we write AI colon. And again I will ask you questions and you answer them spontaneously. So, how do I feel at target X? And write it down. What feelings does target X trigger in me? And write it down. What emotions did I have at target X? And write it down. So, and again, if you have a picture in your mind, if something at the step here it produces a picture, you write AOL/B on the right side and write down what it is, pen away and say, no, definitely not, we don't need this. I put this away, I want to continue neutrally and ask the matrix, not my head. So, 2 pages left. Turn it around, put it on this, this time not, you can put it this way on the side, because we need it now also. So, next page, on the top right, we write /8/ for page 8. Below, in the middle, we write S, Roman 3, and brackets X for stage 3 of target X. And now we make an analytic sketch. So you take now the dimensional terms, what you have received at stage 2, and you try to draw them in. So for example, if you have it's round, it's round, if it's cornerish, it's this, if it's more high, it's maybe this, if it's more peaked, it's this, anything. So write now down, sketch the dimensional words, a simple sketch. So, and now again we assign the word from stage 2 here, from the last page. So, the first color, where is the first color? And write it there. Where is the second color? And write it there. Where is the surface? Write it there. Where is the second surface? Write it there. Where is the smell? Where is the taste? Write it there and speak everything out loud. So say the taste and speak it out loud and write it there. Where is the temperature? Write it there and speak it out. Where is the sound? Write it there. Where is the first dimensional dimensions we have? If you have some dimensions left, then draw them now in. So we continue with the movements. If there is a movement, draw it in or write it there, so you can make an error or nothing if there is nothing. And inside, outside, write it there, where it belongs. So now we have the stage 3 of target X. And again, if you have a picture in your mind or you think you know what it is about, write it out, put the pen away and say, no, I don't want this because I want to be neutral. We go now into stage 4, and there you want to be completely neutral. Put everything away what we have made now. This was just like a warm-up and was nice data, but we ask again at stage 4, the aperture is more open now and we can get more detailed information. So now we make the last page, /9/, and in the middle, the next row, you write stage Roman 4 brackets X for stage 4 of target X. And now I will say to you, I will ask you again words. Normally there's a matrix with column, but we make it now in the structure of stage 2 because it's more easier and it works the same way. So I will ask you words and you write it down. And the first words are like the stage 2 words, but then are coming more specific words. So I will ask you the matrix and you, what comes, the first impression, immediately answer. So what is the main color of target X? And write it down. Is there another important surface of target X? Write it down. Is there another smell at target X? Write it down. How is the taste of target X? And write it down. How is the temperature of target X? Write it down. How are the sounds of target X? Write it down. Are there other important dimensions of target X? Write it down. Some else important dimensions or measurements of target X? Write it down. Are there movements of target X? Write it down. Is it inside or outside? Write it down. How do I feel at target X? Write it down. What emotions I have at target X? Write it down. What emotions does target X trigger in me? Write it down. Other people are at target X. How they feel there? Write it down. What emotions have other people at target X? Write it down. What does target X emit? Write it down. Is target X a thing, a locality, a life form, or an event? Is it a thing, a locality, a life form, or an event? Write it down. What is target X made of? And write it down. What is the main material of target X? And write it down. What can I grab at target X? And write it down. What is the purpose of target X? Write it down. What do people at target X? Write it down. What is the category of target X? And write it down. Is there any other important information about target X? Then write it down. So that was stage 4. And now below at the end you write in big letters and the time what we have now. We have here 22:44 and 3 lines, and put the pen down. Now our session is done. It was the, forget to mention, the stage 4, normally we get a little bit quicker through, because to not repeat what we already, the information get before. But yeah, that's the main part. So, now comes the magic moment. I think you all are curious what's there inside. So, let us look. Before, I want to say again, it's not that you, if you don't know what's about, you have no clue about what it could be, that's a good sign. If you know, it's about this or this, then it's not a good sign, because that means you create an EOL. If you really ask neutrally, we didn't want to know what's really inside of there. We just want a raw piece of data, and then at the end we look what it was. So, this was our target. The pyramid of Kefre at the place and time the photo was taken. So I give you now a picture here on the computer so you can see it a little bit clearer. And I will activate the chat again so you can give me a little feedback how it was. So the chat is active. So maybe you have to refresh your browser quickly to see the chat. And to see how your session was. I see now it's a big delay here. So we'll start to say what we what information we want then later at the when you work for us and also in the projects. So what we mainly want to know in this example, in the pyramid, are 6 points. The first, is it a thing, a locality, a life form, or an event? Thing, locality, life form, or an event. The second thing is the outward shape. In this case, it's down wide and peaked. It's cornerish, it's diagonal. So it's the outward shape. The third part is the main material. It's stone in this case. The fourth point is the color. It's here like brown, brownish yellow. Some people also perceive it as gray. The fifth is the purpose. Here it's sight maybe comes as purpose. Some people also, with the pyramid, it's like communication people perceive as purpose. So they have different purpose in the past. So can come different stuff. And the sixth point, it's it outside or inside. It's here outside. Here also a lot of viewers, when they're curious, they like to go inside. A lot of people like to go inside of the pyramids. But in this case, it's outside is right. So, let us see. I couldn't get rid of AOL so easy. They would continue on the next paper. Yeah, that's the point. That's the work of the training to really put the AOLs away and to have the correct body behavior, to really look there and to train to ask the paper, to get free in your mind, to ask the paper and not ask yourself. this needs also a little bit to be trained. It's really like you have another person in front of you and you ask them. And when you start to ask, like, yeah, what is the color there? What is this? You ask yourself, you're a little bit inside of yourself. And through the question, when you really put all the energy all out, you look there, then you will perceive something. And to put clearly all the pictures out. So I saw a large outdoor field with an object in the background and the sky in the background, but otherwise it was not correct. Yeah, but it was nice. You have outside a field with an object in the background. It's just you have to look at the small pieces what you get there. It's not important. The main stuff, take time, look back what you get at which point, and maybe you see, okay, here I come to an AOL, and then of course after the AOL, when you get it not out, it's everything affected. I didn't see a pyramid at all. Yeah, that's nice because you don't have to see a pyramid at the end. It's really just about the raw perceptions, the data. I kept seeing a car inside a large garage. Okay, not even close. Okay. It's all about practice, practice, practice. Yeah, that's right. That's the point. It's really about practice. Only the last result counts because on it's still bad correct colors and outside. Didn't can read it nice, but for at the begin, yeah, that the last results on the last paper. But we work in projects now where we want to get a little bit away from these last 6 points because it puts a little bit pressure on the people to have the points. And often you can see in the sessions they are nice on a nice way, but then comes to the last part and there comes an important insight and then it does not work. So we also work in the training and we also work in projects where we can use the information even you didn't get the 75% from the sessions. Yeah, I did see the brownish color, yeah, nice. On stage 2 I had. Yeah, so it's everything really mainly about the practice, practice, practice. So here, with the training, when you have 4 from 6 points right from this, then the session is correct, is right, is counted right. And from the last 20 sessions, 75%, that means 15 from 20 sessions. When you reach this, then the education is finished and you can start in projects, in the major projects. But we also, as I said before, we have other projects where you can start when you didn't have reached this. You can start before and get also money with it before. So I will say now, if people, some of you are interested in some courses of us, what we offer, because we offer a training in remote viewing where you get training until you reach the 75% and can then work for us as professional remote viewer. And our training is different because we guide you through all the time until you get the 75%. So you have a regular coaching all the time. You get a handbook, you get access to the back office where you can practice and train all the time. And you get coaching, and we have also trainings tools, and we have projects where you can work while you are in the education and not finish it. And once you finish it, the 75%, and maybe it takes half year or longer, does not matter, it's every time individual. The education goes as long as this time until you have finished and get it. So for you guys, I have a discount now. If you want to make a course at our school, I offer for the beta and the omega a 10% discount for the next week until the 3rd May. and you just have to write shortly an email with webinar, just right there, and then you have this account for the next week if you want to start an education. Some people think maybe it's a little bit high price, but you have to count really. Normally you get for this money a week course, or not longer than 2 weeks. But we have really a training that lasts for 1 year. Really, we guide you. Really, we have a clear goal with 75%, and we really make sure that, because in the training you have downs, ups and downs, so it's easy to learn remote view, how it works at the beginning, but you really need a coach and a measurement system, so you get motivated to continue, and also when you are down, to have someone who said to you, to motivate you, that you come up and you continue, because that's normal in remote view, the practice to have a downs and ups. That's completely normal, and but with the training we make sure that you get through and you get then the job as remote viewer, what you offer. So yeah, that was it. It was really interesting to make this, and yeah, I hope I hear from you again in the future. I say thank you very much for the participation, and I wish you all a great day, nice day, or for Ivan a nice night, a good night, and hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.